being monogamous is unnatural. We should all just sleep around. Welcome to Friday Fallacy. This week we're looking at the appeal to nature fallacy. The appeal to nature fallacy is when it is asserted that something being natural makes it good. That is, rather than recognising that natural things can be both good and bad, it is assumed that being natural is better than being unnatural. This is not a sound way of arguing, as naturally occurring things are not necessarily good. That arsenic is naturally occurring in no way means it is good for you. That homosexuality occurs naturally in no way means it is good or bad. Some examples of the appeal to nature fallacy. This herbal remedy is better for you, it's all natural. The way we live our lives these days is just unnatural, we should get back to nature. Bestiality is contrary to nature and an abomination. Marijuana is just a plant, unlike other drugs. It's natural, so we shouldn't ban it. Not all references to nature are the appeal to nature fallacy. Many times, a phenomenon is pointed out as natural simply as a counter to an appeal to nature. That is, when it is claimed that something is bad simply because it's unnatural, a common response is to show that this is unsound, as the phenomenon in dispute is actually natural. For example, many opponents of homosexuality argue that it is unnatural, which is often countered by pointing out the many examples of homosexuality amongst animals. This is a reasonable response, as in this case we are not arguing that homosexuality is good because it is natural, but rather that the argument against it fails. Of course, it is equally valid to simply point out that the naturalness or unnaturalness of homosexuality is beside the point. Of course, discussions about whether particular phenomena are or are not naturally occurring are valid and can be interesting. But whether something is natural or not is irrelevant to whether it is a good or bad thing. So we may legitimately ask whether, say, human behaviour like altruism has an evolutionary explanation. But whether it does or not has no bearing on whether such behaviour is good or bad. To argue otherwise is to commit the appeal to nature fallacy. There are two areas in which the appeal to nature fallacy are most common. Firstly, in the area of health and well-being. It is extremely common for foods' nature credentials to be promoted, from labelling foods as natural, through claims of no artificial additives, to organic status. These all trade on a general consumer's conflation of natural with good for you. This usage of the appeal to nature extends to healthcare, where many so-called alternative therapies boast that they work with the body's natural healing potential, or return us to our natural state of balance. Herbal remedies often claim to have no side effects because they are naturally occurring. Various lifestyles are also promoted through appeals to nature. Veganism or vegetarianism are sometimes claimed to be more natural, as are contradictory diets like the paleo diet. A reduction in technology and a return to more self-sufficient or off-grid lifestyles are also promoted as returning to nature, suggesting that being with nature is inherently better for us. The other area where the appeal to nature fallacy is often used is when discussing morality. Despite it being fairly obvious that what is natural is not always good, this is still a fairly common appeal to nature fallacy. So, opponents of social change often equate the way things are with what is natural, and then appeal to nature to argue that any change is bad. Such arguments have been made against homosexuality, marriage equality, women's right to vote, interracial marriage, and the abolition of slavery, to list only a few. Similar arguments are made to defend antisocial behaviour, like sexual assault or violence, since such actions occur naturally. Needless to say, the fact that such urges may be natural in no way implies that they are necessarily good. In conclusion, the appeal to nature fallacy is when something is taken to be good because it is natural. Until next time, keep your fallacies to yourself.